the last homecoming of Rizal and the saddest return to his beloved native land. He knew that he will be facing the supreme test, the sacrifice of his life, but he is unafraid. He welcomed it gladly that he is sure that his blood will water the seeds of Filipino freedom.
A martyr's last homecoming. Rizal's homecoming in 1896, the last in his life, was his saddest return to his beloved native land. He knew he was facing the supreme test, which might mean the sacrifice of his life, but he was unafraid. October 6, 1896, Rizal conscientiously recorded the events in his diary. He was given a good cabin in the scored class and although strictly guarded, he was courteously treated by the army officers. The officer on duty seems amiable, refined and polite, consistent with his seriousness of his duty. October 8, a friendly officer told Rizal that Madrid newspapers were full of stories about the bloody revolution in the Philippines and were blaming him for it. He wrote in his diary on the same day. Confiscation of Rizal's diary. It was known to the Spanish authorities on board the column that Rizal was keeping track of the daily events in his diary. October 11, before reaching port, said Rizal's diary was taken away and was critically scrutinized by the authorities. November 2, the diary was returned to him. Unsuccessful rescue in Singapore. News of Rizal's predicament reached his friends in Europe and in Singapore from London. Dr. Antonio Regidor and Sixto Lopez dispatched frantic telegrams to an English lawyer in Singapore named Hugh Fort to rescue Rizal from the Spanish steamer when it reached Singapore by means of a writ of habeas corpus. Attorney Fort instituted proceedings at the Singapore court for the removal of Rizal from the steamer. The crux of Mr. Fort's legal contention was that Rizal was legally detained on a Spanish steamer. Chief Justice Lionel Chox denied the writ the ground that the colon was carrying Spanish troops to the Philippines. Hence, it was a warship of a foreign power under the international law beyond the jurisdiction of the Singapore authorities. Arrival in Manila. November 3, the colon reached Manila and Rizal was transferred in Fort Santiago. Meanwhile, the Spanish authorities fished for evidence against Rizal. Many Filipinos patriots, including Diodato Arellano, Dr. Pio Valenzuela, Moises Salvador, Jose Dizon, Doroteo Franco, Timoteo Paez, and Pedro Serrano Lactao were brutally tortured to implicate Rizal. Rizal's own brother, Pasiano, was arrested and cruelly tortured, but they never signed any damaging statement incriminating Rizal. All thought their body was scattered on the torture ranked, his left hand crushed by the screw. Their valiant Asian spirit remained unbroken.
Preliminary investigation. November 20, the preliminary investigation began. Rizal de Acos appeared before the judge advocate, Colonel Francisco Olive. He was subjected a grueling 5-day investigation. The two kinds of evidence presented against Rizal were A. Documentary. The consumer. B. The testimonial. After studying the papers, Pena submitted the following recommendations. 1. The accused be immediately brought to trial. 2. He should be kept in prison. 3. order to attach penalty issued against his property to the amount of 1 million pesos as indemnity. 4. He should be defended in court by an army officer, not by a civil lawyer. Rizal chooses his defender. The only right given to Rizal by the Spanish authorities was to choose his defense counsel out of 100 presented to him. The name was familiar to him. Luis Taviel de Andrade was the brother of L.T. Jose Taviel Andrade, his former bodyguard in Calamba. Reading of information of charges to the Angkos. On December 11, the information was formally read to Rizal in his prison cell. He was accused of being the principal organizer and the leading soul of the Filipino insurrection. The founder societies, periodicals, and books dedicated to fermenting and the statement already made, except that he had taken no part in politics since he exiled in the Mitan. Rizal manifesto to his people. On December 15, Rizal wrote a manifesto to his people, appealing to them to stop the necessary shedding of blood and to achieve their liberties by means of education and doctrine. Fortunately for Rizal, Judge Advocate Jen and Colas de la Peña recommended to Gov. Jen Pole Guerrero that the manifesto be suppressed. The letter headed the recommendation so that the Rizal manifesto was not issued to the people. Thus, Rizal was saved from the shame of his manifesto being masterminded and disobeyed by the Filipinos in arms.
December 25, 1896 was the saddest in Rizal's life. He was despair for he had no illusions about his fate. It was a dark and cheerless Christmas for Rizal as he found himself alone and depressed in a dreary prison cell. The trial of Rizal was very eloquent proof of Spanish injustice and misrule. His case was prejudged. He was considered guilty before the actual trial. The military court met not to give justice but to condemn him. At 8 a.m. December 26, 1896, the court-martial of Rizal stated in the military building called Cuartel de España. Many officials are present at the courtroom, and among the spectators were Josephine Bracken, some newspaper men, and many Spaniards. In his supplementary defense, which he wrote in his prison cell, he further advised his innocence by 12 points. The military court prejudiced as it was remained indifferent to Rizal's pleading. After a short deliberation, the military court unanimously voted for the sentence of death. On December 26, the court decision was submitted to Governor General Polavieja, and Polavieja immediately sought the opinion of Judge Advocate General Nicolas de la Peña on the court decision. Then the latter affirmed the death verdict. On December 28, 1896, Polavieja approved the decision of the court-martial and ordered Rizal to be shot at 7 o'clock in the morning on December 30 at Bagong Bayan Field.